Fernando Alonso has been one of the hottest topics in Formula One recently, but for all the wrong reasons. The two-time world champion has been connected to a Red Bull seat after the recent Aston Martin disappointment in Mexico, and his reaction was everything we couldn't have hoped for. But from the other side, Helmut Marko has pointed the fingers directly at the Spaniard for spreading the rumours, and at the end of the day, Alonso's anger towards being related to the Austrian team might be all part of the plan. Is there any real possibility that we'll see Alonso in Red Bull? And if not, why is he so angry about being related to a championship caliber team? It's safe to say that Fernando Alonso is one of the fan favourites, and the performance he's been putting in race after race is definitely worth praising. But the reality is that the slump of Aston Martin has been rather questionable in the past couple of months. The second half of the season hasn't turned out to be a lucky one for the Silverstone-based squad, as they have admitted that the upgrades they have planned on the AMR23 turned out to be more of downgrades. This is why the rumours about Alonso's future and Lawrence Stroll's commitment have started to spiral, and be that as it may, this story aligns perfectly with the current situation of Perez and Red Bull. Yes, the most obvious replacement for the Mexican driver is still considered to be Daniel Ricciardo, but some of the F1 journalists were told a rumour that they didn't want to believe revolving around Fernando Alonso, and this did put a lot of negative emotions on the Spaniard's site. After being told about these rumours that were initially started by a tweet from Albert Fabregas, a renowned F1 journalist and a compatriot of Alonso, he made sure to send a fierce threat towards anyone who would be sending out false information regarding his Formula One future. Elaborating on this, Alonso said, "I mean, nothing to say, just rumours, the normal paddock rumours from people that just try to make fun of it and gain some followers and this kind of thing. But I'm not into that game. I'm not enjoying the rumours, because even in this room, I appreciate that all of you are journalists and professional people that have been in Formula One for so many years, and you gain your respect, and this is how it should be. All the rumours are coming from people that are not in this room. They are just here to make fun, and I think it's not funny when they play with anything. I will make sure that there are consequences." Furthermore, Alonso was asked as to what these consequences would consist of, to which he was interrupted by an Aston Martin official during the press conference of the Interlagos GP. There is no doubt that Alonso is not a fan of these rumours, but is there a tiny bit of a chance that everything was started by Alonso himself? If you were to ask Helmut Marko, the answer would be yes. According to the veteran Austrian, who also had his fair share of fights with Sergio Perez, although the pair are now seemingly agreeing on a good note, the rumours about Alonso replacing Perez in Red Bull have been started by the Spaniard himself in order for him to gain traction or to increase his value to Aston Martin. As all things stand, Alonso knows his worth in the Silverstone-based team, and the 7 podiums that he was able to get so far are definitely not something that you can undermine, especially if you consider the fact that he's leading his teammate by a large margin of 130 points. Talking about this, Marko went on to say, "As for the rumours about Alonso, I can well imagine that Alonso spread them himself, because his results with Aston Martin have been very disappointing recently. After the brilliant start to the season, it wouldn't be the first time that he used his home media to create a mood." Once again, and for the record, we only have sporting goals in mind that we will keep ourselves busy with until the last race in Abu Dhabi, and they are. We want to win all the races and make it clear to Perez that he is runner-up. This, however, opens yet another box of surprises that we are yet to unfold. Perez's future with the team. Although Marko and Horner were adamant that the Mexican driver will not lose his seat, even if he's not going to finish as a runner-up to Verstappen, there are certain facts that we need to look into as to how bad Perez has actually been in the best car of the season. For example, the gap between Verstappen and Perez from P1 to P2 is currently standing at 251 points, and the gap between Perez and Nick de Vries, who is dead last in the 2023 season and isn't really part of the sport right now, is 240 points. Nobody actually expected Perez to fight on the level of Verstappen. We all saw that the Dutchman is living in a world of his own, and his work ethic as well as his discipline are not easy to match by any driver out there, let alone his teammate, who's been constantly under pressure to perform. However, the latest actions in Mexico, as well as the mistakes in Qatar, have definitely raised some questions about Perez and his longevity in the sport, and more likely than not, they have the potential to turn everything into a bitter matter for the 33-year-old. Even Max Verstappen has opened up on the question of whether or not Perez will be his teammate in the upcoming season, and the fact that he's speaking about this, along with Horner, does indeed mean that we are still not secured of the 2024 second seat in Red Bull. When talking about this, Max said, "I always had a great relationship with Daniel when we were teammates and when we weren't. At the same time, I have a great relationship with Checo. I find it a bit unfair to now sit here and say who I would prefer as a teammate. They have been great teammates, and it's not up to me at the end of the day to make these kinds of decisions because I'm very focused on my own performance. If it's Checo next year, then great. I have a great working relationship with him, but also personally, I think he's a great guy. If it's Daniel, then also we will get along fine and we'll have a great time. F1 can be a tough sport, like you asking these kinds of questions, but maybe also nothing happens right, so we'll see." This is not the part of the video where we bash Verstappen for his thoughts. He's been as diplomatic and respectful towards his teammate as possible. The only reason we put this statement in the video is the fact that Perez's seat is still being discussed, even though Horner and Marko were very sure in their statements that the future of the second driver in Red Bull is not to be disputed. Be that as it may, the only question that we would have to answer right now is, why would Alonso be so angry towards these rumours about him being related to Red Bull? One of the simple reasons is that he might have had a deal or prenup with Red Bull if anything were to go down the wire with Checo, but now that it got leaked, Alonso's anger is more towards the mouths that leaked it than the rumour itself. But we can also not turn a blind eye to the fact that Alonso is very adept at using the media to his advantage. However, he is very repellent when things are taken out of context or just plain inaccurate. In today's world of false information, any journalist could get fame out of producing false rumours about a high-profile driver like Alonso. And the last thing that the two-time world champion wants in this period is to be the driver that some journalists will make a name for. And the fact that he labelled these rumours as making fun of him and his racing profile does go to show that he does not understand anything seriously. But then again, he did abandon Alpine on a sour note last year in one of the biggest bombshell moves in the sport. So there's always the benefit of the doubt that needs to be considered in this turbulent period. Regardless, the seat of Perez is not safe and sound, and until he signs an extension to his contract or starts to perform out of the bat in the last 3 races and the beginning of 2024, then rumours will definitely continue to spread about Alonso's future in the sport. What do you think about the rumours being generated by Alonso? Let us know in the comments below.